Oh, hey there. Welcome to the Ope-Eh Three-Way Pro Wrestling Podcast on this episode 17, Wednesday night, your Thursday, or whenever you happen to find us. Joined as always, it's Donnie and Pierce and Brandon. I should say it's Brandon joined by Donnie and Pierce as always. My bad, boys. It's running a little late, burning a little midnight oil. How we doing?
We're good.
Yeah. Somebody call Matthew.
Donnie's just got to be negative Nancy as always.
Yeah, I mean, someone's got to do it.
Yeah. If Matthew don't follow us for that one, I don't know what we're doing. But anywho,
we're kicking it off great. Dude, boy.
This is easily one of our best starts. I can tell this is going to be a good one.
It's awesome.
One of the starts of all time. Boys.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going at. This is a start in podcast history.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of what we're starting with, we'll start with shilling the socials. Follow us on all of our socials: X, Facebook. Our 0 posts on Instagram still, or do we have one now?
No, we have one with AI Canadian soldiers, and it's really funny.
Oh, I don't know.
I tried to remember your Remembrance Day. I tried to be nice.
Now I need to see how offensive this is.
It's not offensive.
At least they all don't look like. At least they all don't look like Mortal Kombat side characters, you know.
It is clear AI.
Oh yeah, this is bad.
Oh, you know.
I appreciate the effort you put in for our social media, Brandon.
But at least I remembered Remembrance Day.
What is that flag up there?
Is it not Canadian?
There.
What happened? Did I? Okay,
so
here's the thing. I was also at work when I made this post.
So I'm looking at the picture, and I can see like there's the row of flags that are seemingly floating. No, they're on poles, but like they're just kind of there, which is whatever. But then there's like this flag in the back corner that it reminds me of, like, I don't want to say what it reminds me of, but like I might get canceled for that. But
what?
And then the flag's also in the back. Oh my goodness! No, this is offensive.
I mean, admittedly, I did post this at work, and I might have been multitasking a bit. So, I mean, I just want.
Was this just out of curiosity? Was this? I don't mean to pick on you too much, but like, was this the first thing that came up when you Googled like Remembrance Day Canada or something? Fourth, okay.
If we want to be technical, I tried to look up a few different things, and I'm sure I could have found a couple better. I just was like kind of better,
but didn't make effort, so that's on me. But yeah, I might be best to get like. It looks like there's some Union Jacks in here, kind of.
I mean, aren't you still a bunch of?
No, we're not. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Let me pull her up. Da-da-da-ba-ba. Did I really screw up that bad?
Look, I'm Canadian, so it's like the trained eye knows that this is like clearly not a Canadian flag, and I have no idea what it would be.
There's not enough maple syrup. There's not.
Did I not get enough?
Well, there's like
Mounties on mooses.
There's like blue in it, and like can't have any of that. Blue's a bad color for a flag.
Hey now.
Hey.
You're just jealous. You're just jealous. That's all it is. You had two out of 3 ain't bad, Donnie.
Get out of here.
Well, I'll be damned.
The effort is appreciated.
Well, I'll be damned. There's a Union Jack.
It's like some like bastardized Union Jack too. It's not even a real one. Like I don't know what that one. It's kind of weird. So
it's AI driven.
My lord.
It's as good as it's gonna get.
It's like our old.
Look at the pockets in the foreground.
It's like our old logo, where it's just kind of like there's 3 of us on the logo, and then there's this random floating thing that does not belong there in the back, and this is the exact same thing.
AI drivel.
Anyways, enough about the post. Appreciate you doing it, obviously.
I'll do better next time.
That's the attitude to take.
Yes.
I'm such a dad. I feel bad. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be such a dick.
You're representing. You're being a true Canadian patriot there, Don. I would expect nothing less.
All right. Well, with
Good
that,
on you.
what are we talking about today? We're talking about we're gonna do On This Day, which will transition us to our kind of main segment. We'll get into that once we actually do the On
Yeah,
This
we got
Day.
two main topics. One we'll
And then
talk about because on this day we'll lead into it, and the other one, I mean, we talked about it last week. We're going to be talking about of our ideal WrestleMania weekends.
hell yeah. Hopefully one that doesn't cost $1,500 for one ticket, but we'll see.
Hey, I was lucky enough today. I bought tickets to the Royal Rumble, and they did not cost me an arm and a leg. So
Just an arm.
yeah, they weren't bad. $300
You bought
pop before fees. So
you
they're
bought those
meeting
on this
mid-level.
day, Pierce?
Yeah, I bought those on this day.
Hell yeah.
Speaking of on this day, Brandon, what a fucking segue. Kudos to you. 1993, ECW presents its first ever November to Remember event. In the future, this would be a pay-per-view, but I don't believe ECW got into pay-per-view till 1997. So this was just one of their, big shows that they did, which ECW never really ran too many big shows if we're talking, WCW, WWE level, but for the small little indie that could, this is one of their bigger shows. The main event, it was a winner-take-all match featuring World Heavyweight Champion Sabu and Road Warrior Hawk versus TV Champion Terry Funk and King Kong Bundy. That is a weird, just
That
Yikes.
speaking of AI hodgepodge, holy shit.
Yikes.
Hey, you don't do that to the greatest of all time, Terry Funk.
I definitely feel like that match happened at a time that he would have been well past his prime.
Terry Funk was past his prime well into his 70s when he was still wrestling, and he was still entertaining. Anyway.
Yep. Yeah, lid for every pot,
Yeah, he's fucking... Terry Funk's the man. Rest in peace.
I mean, old leathery
Bundy,
satchels wrestling's your thing.
I mean, we watched fucking Ric Flair have his retirement match last year, and he was
Satchel ass.
That was actually
That
was
over
a
2
Terry
years
Funk.
ago, just for what it's worth. Time flies.
Same thing. That man has been an old leather satchel for 45 straight years.
He's the crypt keeper.
Well, unlike the Crypt Keeper, sometimes they got to collect. King Kong Bundy would turn on Terry Funk, causing Sabu to get the pin and become, he'd retain the world title and become TV champion.
You're telling me a giant dude turned heel in a match? Never. It's never happened in the history of professional wrestling.
Well, why don't we
Giant
talk
man
about
with a
some
black
different
singlet.
history in professional wrestling? 1995, New Sumo Hall in Tokyo, Japan. WCW holds an event called WCW World in Japan. This was a joint show between
What a creative
WCW. Well, Eric Bischoff did his best.
Go on.
And did you know that they beat WWE for 83 weeks?
I've never heard of that before. Just like I've never heard of the giant guy turning heel in the middle of a match. Man, I need a Big Show button on this thing.
Yeah.
So
Coming soon.
this event featured NJPW. It was a joint event, so it was a proto Forbidden Door, way before Forbidden Door. The main event saw Kensuke Sasaki defeat Sting to win the WCW United States Championship, becoming the first non-American wrestler to win the title since Roddy Piper in 1983. Fun fact.
Neat.
2005, TNA Genesis takes place from the Impact Zone. This show is known for the TNA debut of Christian Cage.
Hell yeah.
And in the
Orangeville
main event,
Zone.
and everybody's real dad.
Especially Orangeville's dad.
In the main event, Rhino and Team 3D defeated Jeff Jarrett and America's Most Wanted just want to say America's Most Wanted, OG TNA team, and I think it gets overshadowed because of Beer Money Inc. They need to be talked about a little more. I think James Storm probably becomes the only 3-time TNA Hall of Famer eventually, and he should get it, as America's Most Wanted, Beer Money, and by himself. I think it's well deserved for all three.
Hard to
Brandon,
disagree.
You disagree? Or hard?
No, I said it's hard.
to disagree.
It's hard. It's hard to disagree.
Gotcha. I want to see your point of view on that as more of a TNA diehard than I am.
No, sure. I mean, like he and Chris Harris, even when they went their separate ways, had themselves a hell of a death match too. That was one of the more impressionable things, along with the triple threat, obviously, like with Joe and Styles and Daniels, and then Elix Skipper, doing the crazy cage walk into the Hurricane Rana off the 6 sides of steel. Is one of those real impressionable early TNA memories for me.
And
so yeah,
Chris Harris had one of the worst debuts in WWE history, as
which was so disappointing because I mean when you look at him and with Monty Brown too, and with there's at least a couple of TNA. I feel like Michael Shane, Frankie Kazarian, there were a lot of TNA guys who went and just were total duds. And it makes you think like what would have happened if AJ had gone to WWE earlier than he did, I mean, obviously he wouldn't have his New Japan resume or anything like that. But
no, AJ went to WWE right when he needed to.
Yeah, I totally agree on that.
And Donnie, just in case you don't know how Chris Harris's WWE debut went, let us paint you a picture.
Okay.
So it's 2008. It's ECW, so that should already
mean it's
be
bad.
a red flag number one. Armando Estrada is in his office as the ECW GM.
Armando Alejandro Estrada.
And he's talking to, I believe, Matt Hardy about something.
Oh, yes.
And here walks up Chris Harris, but his name has changed. And he looks at Armando Estrada and he goes, "Knock, knock." What do you think Armando says?
Who's there?
Braden Walker. I'm here to knock your brains out. Dead on arrival.
Yikes.
Or Chris Harris. Anyway, we're going to jump ahead to 2019. There's another thing that happened in 2005. We're going to hold off on that for a second. 2019. This is really interesting to me, and I hope it'd be interesting to you guys. Tickets went on sale for WrestleMania 36, but famously the event would be canceled because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah.
And moved to the Performance Center with no fans, and it would also become the first 2-night WrestleMania, which is now the norm.
I think it was overdue. Was it initially sold as a 2-night WrestleMania, or did they make it a 2-night WrestleMania because it was in?
Made it a 2-night so they could split everything up in the Performance Center.
Yeah, I mean, how long was that wrestle? So that was for 36, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So how long was WrestleMania 35?
About 7 hours.
Yep.
Let's see if I can find an actual.
I before the 2 nights,
16 matches. So that's like an average Tony Khan mid-level event.
Yeah, but at least Tony Khan spreads it thin versus like it's all just from one match to the other to the other. The way that Vince would spread these out to be match, stupid segment with legends, match, Hall of Fame, match, another stupid segment with legends, obligatory 47-minute Triple H match.
Hey, the Triple H match on that show was only 24 minutes and 45 seconds.
With Batista, who had not been in a ring for 5 years.
Man, there are some bad matches on this card. Seth Rollins beat Brock Lesnar in 2.5 minutes. Samoa Joe beat Rey Mysterio in a minute.
That
De-
Brock Lesnar Seth match was quite fun.
Demon Finn Balor beat Bobby Lashley in 4 minutes. Baron Corbin beat Kurt Angle in 6 minutes. Shout out Baron Corbin.
Baron.
Yikes. Carmelo
Yeah,
won
it
a
was just
women's battle royal by last eliminating Sarah Logan. Yikes.
Yeah. Quite a lot.
Yeah.
I'm going to close this tab of my life now.
So we're going to give a little happy birthday shout out to the ace of New Japan, the president of New Japan, Hiroshi Tanahashi. There would be no New Japan Pro Wrestling currently without him.
And on the note of New Japan too, I feel like that's part of the reason why WrestleMania went to 2 nights, because shortly before that, Wrestle Kingdom, I believe, had gone to 2 nights as well. They'd done it for probably about 2 years by that point. I mean, you got to figure they got to take note of how it saves, crowd energy, and you can kind of pick and choose, what night you want to go to. Like, people aren't leaving, or people are more incentivized to go.
Guarantee it was a cost-saving measure by Vince because he couldn't make money on WrestleMania that year.
Are you talking about 36 he couldn't make money on?
Yep.
Because of the COVID thing, or are we talking prior? Because I feel like he announced it as 2 night. I'm trying to remember now if you announced it as 2 nights before.
It matter? Like, it was on the network still. If it was a pay-per-view, then sure, but...
Yeah, but what are they going to make more money from? The live gate or the network?
Well, I understand that, but like, I don't know how splitting it into 2 nights as opposed to 1 makes them more money when it's on the network.
I'm trying to remember now if they announced that split before or after the COVID protocols went into place now too. I'd have to double take that. But
they announced it like 3 weeks ahead of time. But let's move on. The final thing I have, also in 2005, the wrestling world lost one of, if not the brightest star. Eddie Guerrero passed away at the way too young of age of 38. And that's going to lead us into our first real topic today, boys. I mean, what's there to say about Latino Heat? I mean, he is one of, if not the most beloved star of the mid 2000s.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, just that. Oh, go ahead.
That was really when I was starting to get into wrestling, and that was like the first real celebrity death that maybe affected me a little bit. Because Eddie, it was Eddie, Well,
it's weird. Like I think back, and it's Christ, it's been 19 years, and that really puts a date on me because like back in 2005, I remember being a sophomore in high school, and I flip on an episode of Raw after school one night, and then I see that plastered up. And when you consider where Eddie was in his career at the time, like they were jettisoning him towards another world championship. They were gonna
put the title on him on that Friday SmackDown because Batista was hurt.
Yeah.
And
that's another one of those. You think of what could have been, man. Like you think of how Eddie could have potentially influenced, a whole other generation of superstars that came up.
There's no Mercedes Moné without Eddie Guerrero. That's a known fact.
Well, and think of the butterfly effect that his death had caused also. Like, I mean, in hindsight, you look at how it affected guys like Chris Benoit. Like, you consider like how things may have played out differently had that not occurred. Like, you know what I mean? That's
a can of worms we probably shouldn't go down.
No, but I mean, when you consider just the overall effect it had on the business, and on people's lives.
We know, yes. We probably would not see world champion Rey Mysterio, or maybe not as early as we did.
Right.
I know probably don't see heel Dominic Mysterio either.
22 that year. He was going to be facing Shawn Michaels, which is insane that those two never stepped in a ring together. That would have been the barn burner. Like, his death is still felt today. You hear that Viva La Raza and people pop for it. And they will always pop for it. And
Well, and you have still guys like Andrade, even who has his own family pedigree. There's still a lot of tribute to Eddie Guerrero. Most Latino wrestlers who got their break in the United States look at Eddie Guerrero as kind of like a litmus of like, well, what is it that you have to
he's
embody
the
to
measuring
be
stick.
successful in the States?
He is the measuring stick for Latino wrestlers.
Him and Ray both, man.
I don't know about that. I would say it's Bray.
Sound like you just said
For-
Bray.
Like Rey
I,
Mysterio has always
I,
been the. I don't know.
I think he came over to WWE in such a cool way with the Radicals, and he left because he had his problems, and he got clean and came back, and he becomes WWE champion, which is one of the best pay-per-view main events of the 2000s and one of the biggest feel-good moments of the 2000s. And I wish his WWE title reign would have went on a little longer, or maybe he got a second reign with the belt before he passed away. But it's Eddie, man. The Viva La Raza still makes me smile, and he's in one of my favorite matches ever, which still makes me sad we did not get the repeat at this year's SummerSlam with the Custody Dominic ladder match. And I would like Dominic to start coming out to like Gangster Lean or Can You Feel the Heat? Like his character is like, it's just perfect for him.
as he starts to deviate more from the Judgment Day brand,
Like
he starts to come more into his own.
He is that sleazeball heel. Like, Can You Feel the Heat? Fucking it would hit like crack, man.
Especially with all the mamacitas he's picking up these days. He had Rhea in the rear view, Liv on his arm now, Raquel, who knows if that's the side piece. Foreman at this, Tiffany Stratton. I mean, not to mention his wife, but, only so much room to mention her on TV, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, Dominic, man, like, I feel like you look at guys who were influenced by Eddie, never mind all the other great luchadors, but Eddie easily being the most recognizable of that tapestry that Dominic embodies of luchadors and that history. And kind of to your point too, like Don, where you're talking about Ray possibly being the biggest Latino figure, I feel like when you're thinking of like lucha libre in its purest sense, like Ray definitely is the GOAT when it comes to staying true to the enmascarada, the lucha libre, the luchador with the mask, still going out into the world and embodying lucha libre and getting over in spite of any sort of cultural barriers that may or may not exist. But Eddie, I feel like he I mean, he was masked for a little bit, but he went out into the world and he was kind of like, he wasn't necessarily wearing like an insignia or a badge or any sort of, he didn't have a mask or any big piece of merch to sell. Like he was just kind of his own man, kind of like in the veins of like, well, not in the veins of an Alberto Del Rio, because Alberto definitely, kind of took after Eddie in that regard. He could have been like Emil Mascaras or whomever, but, he was very much his own man too. So I feel like there's kind of a dual facet to that, especially particularly when you're representing lucha libre out into the world. So yeah, Eddie was a one of one for sure. A lot of people try to copy, but no one can compare. So man, 19 fucking years, boys. Jesus, Lise.
Just a quick rundown of his accomplishments while he was in WWE and ECW. So he was a one-time WWE champion, two-time European champion, one-time United States champion, two-time Intercontinental champion, four-time tag team champion, twice with Chavo, once with Ray, and once with Tajiri. Hall of Fame inductee in 2006, which obviously we know why, unfortunately. He was the 11th Triple Crown champion and the 6th ever Grand Slam champion. Also in WCW, he was a 2-time Cruiserweight champion, 1-time United States champion. Those were the main accomplishments there. And then as far as other avenues here, he was comeback wrestler at PWI in 1999, inspirational wrestler of the year in 2002 and 2004. He was ranked number 2 on the PWI Top 500 in 2004. He
ranked number 1.
That's not what this says. It says 2.
I'm gonna look it up.
PWI 2004 number 1 wrestler was redacted.
Oh yeah. So he was number 1.
So de facto.
And then Wrestling Observer, Best Interview of 2005, Feud of the Year in 1994 and 1995 for feuds against AAA and Dean Malenko, respectively. Most Charismatic 2004 and 2005, Tag Team of the Year in 1994 and in 2002, and was also inducted into the Juan Hall of Fame in 2006.
Yeah, I don't know too much about his early career. Besides that 1994 tag team was probably him and Art Barr, I would think.
It was.
Which was Los Gringos Locos. And I think so many people use the frog splash because of Eddie. They got to remember Eddie used it because of Art Barr. When Art Barr passed away, he adopted it as a tribute to him. So it's kind of a double tribute now. If they're tributing Eddie, they're still tributing Art Barr, and I think that's probably not thought of a lot, but I think it deserves its own shout out because we don't get Eddie without Art Barr. Like those two, he helped Eddie get to where he was, and then as soon as he went to ECW, he was off to the races. So, but I don't have too much else to talk about Eddie. What about you, Brandon?
No, I figured since it happened on this day, it deserved its own significant feature, right? Because it was such a significant happening in the world of wrestling. And it still was perfect.
I thought you were having a pause there. In there.
It shocked wrestling to its core, and it did deserve a mention. So if we're gonna move forward, I'm gonna steal Donnie's spotlight real quick. Let's talk about Mania, boys.
All right. So WrestleMania, as I hope most of you would know, is coming to Las Vegas the weekend of the 19th and 20th of April 2025. That is Easter long weekend for those that aren't inherently aware.
The weekend of 420. Blaze it.
Sure. You will not be doing that in Vegas because it is not legal to smoke in public in Vegas.
I will not be
doing it in public.
Would also, pop on a piss test and all that fun stuff because it's not legal in Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a little weird that you can buy it, but you can't consume it in public at all in Vegas. But anyways,
alcohol on the streets, and that's what matters.
Yes. So the weekend is always filled with all kinds of activities and events from every corner of the wrestling universe. And also, it's in Las Vegas, which is a pretty dope location to have a WrestleMania. This will be the first time it's ever been in Vegas. So I guess we can go around the room and figure out what stuff we want to check off the list, what stuff that can be specific to Mania weekend, that could be specific to Vegas weekend. Let's give our listeners some ideas on stuff they might want to seek out should they be on the fence for going to a Mania this coming year, and can afford it without selling organs.
Right.
Very
Should
important.
not sell organs for wrestling.
But you might need to afford this one.
The Ope-Eh 3-way does not condone selling organs to go to wrestling.
We do not. That's why we do not have tickets yet. All right. Who wants to kick us off?
We will soon. I'll kick us off. This is, if we get enough listeners that they would maybe want to do like a little meetup. I think that would be cool. But like just for me, this year I feel like there's two events that I really like to go to outside of WWE. I would like to go see Bloodsport, where it's like the MMA style, no ropes matches. I think that would be a lot of fun. And then I would want to go to Wale Mania. Um, hip hop is a big part of my life, and Wale is awesome. And then you have all those wrestlers on stage, and you get some of them doing raps, and it's just a bunch of wrestling fans who also like hip hop and want to have a good time. What about you guys? Wrestling related. Let's start with that. What would you guys want to do wrestling related?
I'm very
Not
disappointed that you missed out on one particular thing. I'm going to criticize you already.
what's that?
Should there be another tailgate, ideally hosted by Mojo Rawley?
Oh, if that's a thing, I'm there.
That is
Mojo's
a
fucking cool.
absolute must. Shout out Mojo. I know
Shout
he
out
just
to
had
Mojo.
he had his first kid, I believe, recently. So I
Oh,
don't know if we called it
congratulations,
out at the
Mojo.
time, but congrats to him on that. But beyond that,
Congratulations, Mojo.
that's how the three of us all met. Was at a tailgate. It's called Tailgate. It was done by a crew out in Baltimore. Who they do a
Yeah,
lot of
Jimmy's Famous Seafood.
yeah, they're affiliated with Jimmy's Famous Seafood, but they do a lot of tailgates for the Baltimore Ravens and the Orioles out in Maryland, and decided to do Philly because it was close enough, I
Right there.
guess. And it was a great experience for us to meet, and we got to meet some cool wrestlers, and we got to do some cool things, and
Got to get half in the bag before the show.
hell yeah. So I think that unequivocally goes without saying that if the tailgate team, or even if Mojo himself just decides to affiliate with a specific tailgate, that is probably where we will be. And as a matter of fact, Marta makes all tailgates mandatory now, to the point that she does not want to go to Stand and Deliver because it sacrifices precious tailgate time. So,
Nice.
I would not have met Donnie at all if it wasn't for that tailgate, because I may or may not have snuck into the VIP, and then I was staying with some people, and then Donnie and I got to talking and got to drinking, and
hell yeah.
then we made plans to meet up for the next day, and then Brandon happened to sit next to me and said something about Wisconsin, and here we are. Now we're going to our second wrestling show together this week.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Third technically, because you were in the same building for Mania, but
Yep.
Mania doesn't count because we weren't sitting next to each other.
We were there in spirit, though.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
we had a link. We had an ethereal link.
Breathing the same
But-
air, fighting
I
through
also
the
would not
same
have been half in the
escalators.
bag if it weren't for Brandon, because since there was another Wisconsinite there, I know I had to keep up with the fast drinking.
Oh, you gotta set the standard, I mean, we're amongst, an international populace.
Over the 3 hours that we were there, I think I had 12 drinks, and 5 of them were probably in the last hour and a half by itself.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys are both bigger lads than me, so for me to keep up was a bit of a challenge. But we had a good run there. I'm looking forward to potentially doing it again. So I curse you for not bringing up the tailgate team, Mojo.
You could have called me Anakin at that tailgate. The way I was slaying those Yinglings.
Oh boy.
Oh,
boy.
I understood that reference.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just patted myself on the back.
Oh God, Barry Horowitz.
I'm not a jobber.
But other things to do for me, specifically wrestling related. So the shows. So I last year, actually both years that I've gone, I did every show as part of WWE Weekend. So that's SmackDown, including the Hall of Fame, NXT Stand and Deliver, and then the two main shows, and then the Raw after. The good thing about Philly was that everything was close together. The bad thing about LA was that it was not. the arena where they had the arena shows, and the stadiums were very, very far apart. So
Yeah, that I think needs to be talked about a little more. Is that I've seen it in Seattle too. Um, if you have multiple sports teams for one specific city, they're all right next to each other. The link, where was Stand and Deliver at?
it
The
was at
Phillies basketball team.
Wells
Wells
wherever.
Fargo,
Yeah, Wells
and
Fargo.
whatever their baseball stadium is right there.
Yeah.
Same with Seattle.
Yeah, in Vegas, it's not too far either. So the football stadium, Allegiant, is not far from the MGM Grand. Well, they have multiple. So there's the one where the Golden Knights play is not far away at all, and then the MGM Grand is a little bit further. And then if you buy into the speculation that they might have it at the Sphere, that's even a little bit further than that, but still like relatively accessible. And there's multiple options. Like, you don't have to just Uber. You can take the tram. You can walk. The weather that time of year will be fantastic. It's not like we'll be freezing our asses off like we did in Philly. So I'd like to go to as many of those shows as possible. The SmackDown before, not great, but the Hall of Fame can make up for it significantly. And certainly Paul Heyman's induction in Philadelphia this past year definitely made it worthwhile to go.
I will play devil's advocate there. I did not go to the SmackDown or the Raw this year. I would like to do that, but they need to move the Hall of Fame to a separate night again.
They
You guys
used
should
to.
not be. You guys should not be getting out of that stadium at midnight.
Well, the
Or
good news is
later,
it'll be
because
West Coast time. So even if you do Hall of Fame, you'll be out of the building by like 9 p.m. Pacific.
yeah, but this was in Philly. I was seeing stuff on the WrestleMania
It was rough. Philly was rough.
subreddit
Philly was
that
rough.
people were saying you could get on on the trains and whatnot, and after midnight there were no more trains.
Yeah, well, luckily Vegas stuff is not too far. I think you'll manage, but um, WWE World will also be a thing. I don't know if, like, I've been to Vegas a bunch of times, so I know like where stuff is. I don't know exactly where they'll have WWE World. Depending on how much they're willing to spend, there is a huge uh, exhibit space at the Mandalay Bay, which is not far from Allegiant Stadium. So that would probably be the ideal place. But also isn't the cheapest venue in the world for their event and their event space there. Hopefully, it's not in downtown Vegas because that's a pain in the ass. I guess we'll see about that. But I would like to go to WWE World. Had the pleasure to buy VIP for Becky Lynch in Philly. I tried to get Seth Rollins originally. He sold out, but Becky's came available and I was able to get that. She was very, very kind. Both Marta and I dressed up as Becky Universe characters. Marta dressed up as Becky and I dressed up as Seth, and she gave very kind compliments to both of us. And also, we got an autographed copy of her book, which is a good read. And you should read it if you don't dislike the man. Stand and Deliver is always a banger show. Highly recommend if you're into NXT, go watch Stand and Deliver because it is very good. They really bust their ass, and there's good quality wrestling on that show. And then the Monday Night Raw, it can be good. I think it's a little overrated, but it's hard to say. Inevitably you make of it what you will.
I feel like the show itself kind of coasts off of a reputation nowadays because you get one or two really good, Raw after Manias that get people to pop, and then all of a sudden it's an attraction all on its own. So, I mean, get one or two little things in here, sure, but like it's not. I mean, when you're blowing up PLEs and particularly Mania this hard nowadays, I mean, do they really have to go that hard with a Raw after Mania? Probably not. I mean, again, I feel like it's a feature in and of itself, even if it's not the hottest ticket on Monday. Like, people are still probably gonna just go regardless.
Yep. Brandon, did you have any wrestling related stuff that hasn't been discussed or that you just have an affinity towards that you'd want to do in Vegas?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Like, Vegas is one of those locales that I never really took that much interest in. on its own merit. But I mean, given that Mania is going to be there next year, and given all the development that's been going on in Vegas recently, I feel like it's, I just going out there to see shit like the Sphere. You have stuff like that out there that is attractive, and Allegiant Stadium is going to be fucking ginormous. It's going to be an experience in and of itself to go in there.
It'll be a nicer venue than Phillies, that's for sure. Phillies was actually not great. Their stadium.
It wasn't ideal. No, not ideal for which.
Just, an outdoor stadium in a non-outdoor time of year.
Right, in the elements, it was
almost dying getting off the escalator there on night one. I told you guys that story, right?
Don't think so.
Not the near death story, no.
Oh yeah, no. So seriously, so we were leaving after night one, and I don't know whoever the fuck designed the stadium, but there was a bottleneck at the bottom of one of the escalators that we were taking to get down, and I kid you not, I had to jump off the escalator about 10-ish feet above where I should have, like over the railing, to avoid the dog pile of people that were at the bottom.
That sounds accurate.
So,
I mean, hey, there's a reason. It took me like 10 minutes to go down the stairs, just walking the pace I was. Like, you never know when people's gonna jump in front of you or crazy shit,
Stairs were bad, but the escalator was way more dangerous. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know, like, if security was holding people up or the doors weren't open or what, but really shitty design. Just shut off the escalator and that, because, like, people weren't fucking moving and people were literally falling to the ground at the escalator, which was not cool.
When you can imagine a few people are probably pretty well seasoned too, because they know they're going to be taking the train back. So, no DUIs for these folks.
It was probably just a pileup of everything.
Yeah.
Just a fucking pile of humanity.
Is there wrestling related stuff you wanted to see though, Brandon, outside of
Mania itself? So last year when I went, I made a point, and it's a slight tangent away from WWE related stuff, but of course other promotions bring in, stuff for Mania weekend. So like last year I went to Supercard of Honor, right? It's an ROH show into Tony Khan, so it's whatever, right? But I've always, as you know, have had a soft spot in my heart for ROH. And last year I thought they did a pretty decent justice to the Mark Briscoe storyline paying off, where he finally becomes Ring of Honor World Champion. Now, granted, however you feel about the current Ring of Honor World Champion, I feel like there's probably going to be some significant focus with him in Ring of Honor's title picture come Supercard of Honor this upcoming year. I feel like he'll probably either be in the match or he'll probably be champion come that point, and hopefully Ring of Honor's in a pretty decent spot. But I liked going to Supercard of Honor this last year because I was around people who, like, in spite of what Ring of Honor has been through, in spite of the reputation it has now, really just enjoyed the show. They were behind guys like Kyle Fletcher, who was TV champ at the time. They were behind Shotty Lee Johnson, who he was facing at the event. Athena versus Hikaru Shida was really fun. I look forward to possibly seeing something like that again. Because I feel like there's a lot of stuff that goes understated about, like, a Ring of Honor show in general these days, never mind, their PLEs, their pay-per-views, whatever. So I'd be interested to see something like that again. In general, I'd be real interested to...
The learning tree being champion. I know that's the real reason why you want to go.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie and after time to process say that it doesn't create some additional intrigue.
Absolutely.
I give the devil his due. It'll be interesting to see who takes the belt from him, because
nobody. He's going to be champion forever.
Oh, I mean, come on now. He's got to retire at some point. I mean,
it'll be when ROH goes down.
I mean, I don't know how many states you got to stop in, and provinces or whatever, where they're begging you to retire before something finally starts to sink, and you go, I mean, to be the oldest Ring of Honor champion in history and to break your own record in becoming so, that is an achievement in and of itself. But it really should be telling, especially because you would hope and pray anyway that there's some young blood coming up that would hopefully unseat Chris Jericho at the top of the Ring of Honor mountain. Somebody who hopefully would want that.
Bitch.
We will
Hey,
not
now.
speak such sins on this podcast.
What, unseating Old Man Jericho?
Jericho needs to be champion forever. We must all accept the learning tree.
Oh, okay.
Shut up,
Can
bitch.
I trust this will be a group? This will be part of the group trip. Then are we all going to go watch the Learning Tree defend his
Marta
perpetual
Marta
eternal
will
Ring of
not.
Honor? Oh,
She will
I
not
will
be.
not go to a show with Chris Jericho on it.
damn.
Unless it's been like 6 months and we haven't seen him. You know what I mean? That'll make me care about Jericho if he disappears for a bit.
Boo this man.
Your
Boo him.
No,
absence has to make your heart grow fonder.
No, I
Yeah.
will not be going to Ring of Honor, Supercard Ring of Honor. I probably won't be giving Tony Khan any more of my money, quite frankly. I'm just not really interested in their product. But
Fair enough. I will say, though, like on a general note, I will say I look forward to potentially meeting a lot more people within the social media sphere in wrestling. Like, I have to believe that, you know, you're going to see a lot of people like Wheezy Blonde, like, you know, Santi Zap, like Con Man. Like, I got to believe you're going to see people like that crawling about, you know, the chance to run into them and, yep, CVV.
WrestleCon's a big one. If we can, you know, maybe get, you know, press passes and we can do some interviews with people, I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we got to come preloaded with some questions, boys. Got to give it some flair.
yeah, don't go to Mariah May without a question. She'll castrate you. Not that I blame her. I don't blame her at all. But
Okay. Can you believe she's not even on the Full Gear card yet? I mean, we'll talk more about that next week, but as of right now,
it's okay. There's still 18 more matches in the bag. Don't worry. Okay, what are we doing outside of wrestling stuff? What kind of boxes do you guys want to check off? Especially, neither of you have been to Vegas before, right?
Yes.
I want to go line dancing in Vegas.
Do you
That's
know
what
where
I'll
you
do.
would go for that?
Absolutely not, but I'll find it.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I'll do some of that research right about now.
I have no idea where
we're still brainstorming.
I'm sure there's a place that exists, but where that is, I don't know.
If you can find boxing and Elvis and weddings,
if you can get fucking married, you know, in 20 minutes, I'm pretty sure you can find line dancing.
If I can find an Elvis to marry me and someone, and Mike Tyson impersonator can be my ring bearer in Vegas chapels, then I'm pretty sure I can find a line dancing venue.
For me, I would say I would like to get a nice big steak somewhere. I like going out to eat to like a fancier restaurant when I go on vacation.
There's a lot of good restaurants in Vegas. The challenge is knowing which restaurants they all serve good food, but it's just a matter of knowing which ones are you paying for the name and which ones are you paying for the food.
Well, one place I want to go is that I have to pay for the name. Is I don't like fast food, but I feel like I have to try In-N-Out at least once in my life.
Okay.
I think if we were doing any group activities, I like doing escape rooms. I think that would be fun.
Okay.
And,
so we're going actually to Vegas in a couple of weeks, and we're going to this place. It's called the Omega Mart, and it's not really an escape room so much, but it's like it's a store, like a shopping store, like a grocery store, but like the whole concept of it is very like artistically designed in the sense that there's like you go there and you can do like scavenger hunts while you're there, and there's like hidden bars and activities and stuff behind shelves if you pick like a certain Cheerios box up and you know something happens and then you have to go find where that is. And I didn't want to cheat into looking into that too much because I don't want to ruin the experience when we go in a couple weeks, but I know they have that, and that's like one of a bigger attractions that they advertise in Vegas, and I'll be doing that in a couple weeks, which will be a good time.
Ooh, there's a Coyote Uglies in Vegas.
Yeah, there is.
That could be a great time.
I just don't know if they actively do line dancing all the time, but I know where it is.
Oh no, they do. They dance on the bar, and it's either a great time or a horrible time, depending on which one you go to. But I went to one in Narlands, and that was a blasty blast. I thought. Trying to find what's close to where we'll be though.
That's the thing. The challenge that you're going to find is something like that close to where you'll be staying might not be the
Like
easiest.
walking distance.
I'd like to play a little roulette.
Roulette's good. Try and find single zero tables whenever possible. Now they have fucking triple zeros, and that's sounds like a crime. But
I like to drink copious amounts of alcohol.
either don't go to a bar for that. You can get free drinks while you gamble, or just like tip a little bit more. There's like lots of booze stands where you can go to and get drinks relatively cheap. But if you actually go to like a bar or a club, drinks are very expensive.
Oh my god.
Super
Pay for the
expensive.
views. I know how that works.
So, anything else?
I mean, that's pretty much it. I want to explore the city. Maybe go to Grand Canyon if you got time, you know.
In Arizona?
Isn't Grand Canyon kind of close, or am I?
It's pretty far. It's a whole day trip. It's like 4 hours away.
That's not that far.
Hoover Dam's a lot closer. And you can also go to Red Rock National Park, which is like 15 minutes away and also is dope as hell.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. I'd love to see Red Rock.
Also would like to see the Moab.
What was that?
The Moab.
The Moab.
The what?
The Moab.
The fuck is a Moab? Am I getting canceled for saying that?
Pierce, what's a Moab?
The desert.
Oh, you want to go walk in the desert?
Yeah, and then just never come back.
You want to take some peyote?
But I don't want to be tried for murder or anything like that.
Well, yeah, I wanna take some peyote and then just talk to the plants.
Let's have a little vision quest.
I'm gonna have the cactus juice in the desert.
So it'll be the start of pool season. So Marta's tasked me specifically, to make sure we book a cabana at the hotel we're staying at. So that could be a thing.
Oh, book cabana.
I want to do some swimming.
Pool day. It'll be a pool day for sure. They do it where you can book a cabana and half the cost goes to your drinks, but then the other half they keep. So it's not super cheap, but it feels quite luxurious when you do. We did that the last time we went. Obviously, the food thing is killer. There's so many good food places to go. What else? It's a hard we've been like, I think by the time we go for Mania weekend, that'll be the fifth time for us together, and the sixth time for me in the last 3 years. We'll have gone to Vegas, so there's not a whole lot of bucket list things to check off at that point.
A lot of Vegas.
Yeah, but I get good deals. We're going U.S. Thanksgiving weekend, and my hotel for 4 nights is $30, and this is at the Cosmopolitan, which, if you know Vegas, the Cosmopolitan is very, very nice, very nice. I'm spending $30 total, and this includes a balcony and a nicely sized room. So they basically want me to go, and will pay my room rate for me to go. So that's why we go as often as we do, and it's a good time.
Damn it! I'm looking at line dancing places. Oh.
Yeah, I honestly think you're going to be in for a harder time than you thought.
Yeah, it's an hour walk to the decent place from Allegiant anyways. I don't know where that's relative to where we'd be staying.
Where is it?
It's called Stoney's, I know that.
Does it say is it on the strip or?
Let me pull her up here. It's hard for me to readily identify the strip because I'm not as familiar with the topography of
I can check.
Of Vegas.
I'll pull up a map. I'll pull it up on a map.
Sorry, I'm being a Vegas virgin here.
That's fine.
Stoney's. Just
you said?
There's a Stony's North 40, and then there's a Stony's. There's another Stony's south of that. But obviously, I figure we'd be going a little bit more north because that's closer to Allegiant. I assume we're staying closer to the Allegiant than farther. I could be wrong on that though too, and
Yeah,
maybe
so
this is all for nothing.
Stoney's I
Maybe
see is by the airport, which is not too far, and then there's one further away that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, so the one by the airport would be the one to go to.
Excellent.
Stoney's Rockin' Country.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And then there's another
Get my
one
boots
like
on, boys.
further. Yeah, the one by the airport makes sense.
Well, that's exciting. I might even get a fucking Stetson hat for that. Big old brim. You fellas are in for a show.
Oh boy.
I promise you.
I guess in Vegas, that is something you have to pay for normally.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll let you guys know how my trip goes in a couple of weeks. I'll tell you this cool stuff that I do, and you can decide if that is a cool thing to do or not a cool thing to do in conjunction with all the other things.
Absolutely.
You guys got anything else we want to talk about? You want to talk about what happened on Raw at all? Or the spoilers coming out of next week's Raw episode? Or are we just going to leave it?
Probably shouldn't talk about the spoilers.
Oh,
but
I like
wanna
talking about the
spoil it.
spoilers.
Yeah, but we shouldn't be assholes.
We got to contain that, Donnie. Got to resist our urges.
Should watch Raw next week.
Yes.
It's going
I
to be
will
a
not
good one.
watching Raw because I'll be flying back from Calgary, but
I will not be watching Raw because I don't have cable.
Well, you can do a follow along then.
Yeah, I'll be following along on my phone with Twitter. So
You guys will also be following along on the road to WrestleMania there too. Kudos. I want to say I'm jealous of the both of you guys for getting them fancy tickets to your road to WrestleMania PLEs.
Yeah. So Elimination Chamber goes on sale December 6th, I think. Marta has told me she is buying me those tickets for my birthday because that is my birthday weekend.
Oh, nice.
Shout out, Marta.
Shout out, Marta. We love you.
Marta the GOAT.
Yeah. But so I don't really get any say in that because it's a birthday gift. But
I'm sure you hate it so much.
I know. Last time they had a show there was WrestleMania 18 too. So at this particular venue.
Skydome?
Oh, in the Skydome there?
Yeah, it's in the Dome. Well, now they call it the Rogers Center, but yeah, it's in the Dome.
Yeah.
So. And I'm excited to go to the Rumble. Like, as much as I was excited to go to Mania last year, like the excitement is not even close compared to the Rumble. Like, if there's one, and I talked to my roommate about this because it'll be his first show too, and I'm excited for that. He was saying he's like, you think this would be more exciting to go to as like than Mania? I was like, look at it this way: if you're gonna introduce somebody to wrestling, right? What are you going to show him? And he's like, it's like, okay, I kind of see what you're saying. It's like, you're not going to show him a WrestleMania. You know what I mean? There's going to be 6, 7 matches on the card. And most of them have been built up for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months, maybe even close to a year or longer. You're going to show him the Royal Rumble. There's 2 matches on that card that they say, this is what's happening. 30 people over at the top rope. Winner gets a title shot at WrestleMania. And you get introduced to 30 people. And now there's 2 of those matches, so you get introduced to 60 different people. It is the most exciting PLE of the year, regardless of promotion.
I agree.
It is.
Yeah, I agree.
It is the most casual-friendly PLE, too.
Yeah, it was the one that I would go out of my way to watch the Rumble more than I would watch Mania when I wasn't actively watching wrestling. So
Right. Because it's always, even if it's a bad Rumble for the most part, it's a good Rumble.
Yeah. Agree.
Well, it's nice. If it's nice too, if commentary is actually like doing their jobs well, then if you've been, out of wrestling for whether it be like a couple weeks or a couple months or whatever, like they are usually really good about if there's a story going on with any of these people who are coming into the Rumble. And a lot of times storylines are, woven into the Rumble between 2 or more people. they'll usually go over that to some degree and they'll catch people up.
And
They'll give them kind of like a Cliff Notes version.
Triple H has taken over. We've had 4 incredibly good Rumbles.
Honestly, since we first talked about it, and I think our second episode when we talked about John Cena and the potential of the Rumble, I still, even at this point, and probably going forward, I have no idea who's going to win the damn thing. Like,
No,
I do not
usually-
know who's going to win the men's Rumble. I have a very strong feeling who I expect to win the women's Royal Rumble, but I do not
This is
know.
one of the most toss-up men's Rumble in years. There are so many different factors.
It's all like it's who's available, what's the booking going to be like going into Mania and after Mania. Is anyone actually going to lose their main title on the way to Mania? There's a lot of
who's
variables.
got to get hurt? Who's going to get signed?
We
Like,
don't want to think about the hurt stuff, and I don't know if there's a signing in the bag that.
Once again, Brandon fucking petitioning people to get hurt.
I don't think that was intentional.
Hey, let's not get carried away
No,
now.
I don't
Just
think that was
say the word
intentional.
hurt.
But like, you can't book around potential injuries, right? Like, you just kind of have to
Oh, right.
hope for
No.
the best, and have a couple things in your back pocket just in case. But
Right.
that's a good thing I'd say on the men's side is that there's a lot of guys that can win the Rumble, and it would make sense. Some more than others.
There's at least 6 right now that I think
6?
I can think of.
6.
The Rock,
The Rock
Roman,
makes
Cena,
sense.
CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins.
Yeah, I think some of those make a little bit more sense than others. But yeah, like Cena, Rock, Roman, CM Punk, sure. Yeah, Seth Rollins, okay. Yeah.
I think Drew, if they keep Cody away from bloodline nonsense, Drew and Cody is the match to make for me.
Randy Orton.
Kevin Owens even.
I don't think Kevin Owens will. I think Kevin is destined for Sami Zayn at Mania this year. I think that's very clearly the direction they're going with him.
I would prefer not to see that, but I get it. But that's for another day.
The women's side, well, prepare to hail the queen once again, I feel, because she's still not back yet.
I would rather see a new star be built up. But I kind of think that it's going to be Rhea Ripley.
I don't think Rhea needs to win that match.
And
we'll get into it as we get closer.
You think Charlotte does?
I mean, Charlotte versus Tiffany is a pretty good championship match, I would say.
Does not need the Rumble win to happen.
Well, one of the two has got to win the Rumble if you're going to get Liv, Rhea, and Charlotte.
I don't think
Tiffany.
I don't think Liv holds on to the title till Mania. I'd be fine with it, but I think probably Rhea wins it at the Rumble, and whoever wins the Rumble faces Rhea. And could be an Io, could be a Bianca, could be a Jade Cargill.
I feel like if you talk about matches destined for Mania, I think Bianca and Jade on the women's side is where that's going to go.
Yeah, I think so too. I feel they probably have an eventual blow-up moment on or around the Rumble.
One of them winning the world title, and one of them winning the Rumble.
There's still a ways to go. We still got one PLE, which isn't really going to have any title matches, which is okay, whatever. But then I don't even know how to handle Saturday night's main event when it comes to is this on par with the PLE? I don't know that it is.
I guess they're going to be doing 5 of them over the next year is what they're reporting. So we'll see. It'll be like an in your house.
And then the Netflix debut, I feel like that's on par with Saturday night's main event, I would assume, because that show's going to be loaded. I'm looking forward to the speculation study to that show soon too. So we got Survivor Series in 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks after that we've got Saturday night's main event, and then 3 weeks after that you have Netflix debut. So
we got a big New Year's episode with, I would assume, World's End is happening again, and Netflix debut. It's got a lot of stuff in the pipeline, boys.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I
with
feel
our scheduling around that time of year, we'll have to figure out the best way to handle it. Our Wednesday recording
another
time, we are not
episode
recording
coming
on
up.
Christmas Day or New Year's Day. That is not happening.
absolutely not.
No, I'll be nursing a hangover on at least one of those days.
Yeah, it'll be both for me. So yeah, we'll figure that out as we get closer. But for next week, so we can probably wrap this one up. But next week we're gonna do Full Gear preview.
Yeah,
Yep.
we'll think of something else too. Full Gear. I mean, it's not. There's not too many matches of intrigue besides maybe Ricochet Takeshita because of the whole Don Callis family versus Will Ospreay and friends.
I think saying there's intrigue in a Ricochet match in 2024 is very generous, but
Honey, stop being a hater.
It's fleeting. It was there, and then
I mean,
one
I
too
like
many
the
flips.
match.
The jury's still out. I mean, it's Ricochet's. I mean, he seems to be pretty vocal online. So, I mean, we'll see if that if that translates into any additional intrigue in his matches. I
let me
mean,
see the match list right now. There's currently 8 matches already booked.
If this is this reset that John Moxley is saying for AEW, maybe I think a reset is a good idea for them, and whatever they do next, just keep moving forward. And Callis versus Osprey, Callis family versus Osprey is really going to be the big hook for the upper mid card for the next
That
little
match
bit.
is not confirmed yet.
Well, I mean, it's just what's going on in general is
Yeah.
Osprey versus Callis.
Yeah, there's 8 matches currently confirmed, and a 9th is basically confirmed, which is MJF versus one of Adam Cole or Roderick Strong, or potentially both.
If it's both, it is stupid.
AKA not Mariah May.
Yeah, she is not on this list yet. There is only one women's match on this list right now.
Yeah, but I don't know.
We'll get into
see
that
what
next
happens.
week. Yeah, we'll get into that next week. Yeah, that's all I got.
Brandon, you got anything else?
No, congrats, boys, on your PLE ventures. I hope we get to, give the shows a little extra spruce from a little bit of that first person view from the Ope-Eh 3-Way Pro Wrestling podcast going to Royal Rumble and to Elimination Chamber. Should be exciting takes from both of you boys.
Pierce, if they have a chance, if they happen to do any extra shows, like I've done both the Undertaker show and the Sami Zayn comedy show, they're pretty decent to go to. So should look into those if
I
you
would
have an
like to go
opportunity.
to the Undertaker show if it didn't cost $700.
It can't be that much.
Dude, it was not cheap for nosebleeds. It was like $300-$400 for nosebleeds.
Was that secondhand though? Did you not look at them on the day they released?
Donnie, last year for Mania, everything I bought was secondhand.
Yeah, so that doesn't count. Like I bought one Dead Man show tickets for like $50.
Well, yeah, this is I'm not good at time management. I said fuck it and went to WrestleMania.
You got to be on the ball for this stuff, man. Well, except for
that
WrestleMania
man
41, because that doesn't matter. You just have to.
That man is way too humble about his product to charge that much money. You hear him talk about, one of these days we'll make a podcast. $700, please.
Follow us on social media, X, Instagram, Facebook. Where I'll probably make some more posts. I liked Brandon's post today. As always.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know ASL, better learn. You're going to see it around. Sorry. And also, one last thing. Look forward to some unique posts. Hopefully get the Instagram up and going with some content related to Friday Night SmackDown, where Pierce and I are going to be. So looking forward to that very much so.
Make sure you acknowledge your tribal chief.
Yep, we'll acknowledge Solo.
Thank you.
We'll be at SmackDown if you've ever heard of us, and Maybe we'll shill our podcast again to the people in front of us. Probably will, because what's better than word of mouth? But anyway, thanks for stopping in the Ope 3-Way. Have a beer on us. We'll see you next time. Have a good night.